Providence Ministries for the Needy has also navigated the difficulties of 2020 while continuing to serve the communities depending on them. As Kathy Harrington reports, the challenges included record demands for services and a critical change in leadership.
Reacting to the spread of COVID-19, parishes in western Massachusetts closed last March. The pews were empty, but the work of the church continued.
We have taken such pride in how we've reacted to this pandemic from the second that COVID hit in March.
Jenny Adamczyk is the new executive director of Providence Ministries. As one of the ministries supported by the annual Catholic Appeal, their work in the community happens around the clock, 365 days a year.
The protective care of God. That's the definition of providence. Especially right now, the outstretched hands of God's protection are what's needed for the communities served by Providence Ministries.
Kate's Kitchen is one of the programs operated by Providence Ministries. Every day from noon until 2, a hot meal is served in their Holyoke dining room to anyone seeking one.
We shifted, so now we're doing to-go style. We serve through the door.
So after COVID hit, the meals continued with a reduced crew of volunteers, the dining room closed, and after the departure of their executive director. Jenny Adamczyk stepped in to fill the gap and help Kate's Kitchen meet the sharp increase in guests.
We were averaging about 150 to 180 people a day that we'd be serving. We can go up to 240 people in a day.
Adamczyk says the warm meal and the extras for people to take home to be sure there is something to eat later on continue, with every effort taken to limit exposure for community members and the volunteers. Working with the elementary school a block away, the youngest of Kate's Kitchen's guests are served, children who aren't normally needing food during the day.
We were seeing more children come to Kate's Kitchen. We would have parents come with their children, and we would have some children just come alone. You're talking 5, 7-year-olds holding hands, walking down to come and eat.
Operating in Kate's Kitchen is FoodWorks, a culinary training program. After completing the 12-week class, students earn ServSafe certificates and learn the skills needed to find employment in the food industry.
So we were able to run our first wave of FoodWorks last year because of when it ended in the spring when COVID was hitting. We were not able to have a graduation because of COVID, and then we put that program on hold.
Across the parking lot from Kate's Kitchen is Providence Ministries Food Pantry. Named for its founder, Sister of Providence Margaret McCleary, Margaret's Pantry serves every community in western Massachusetts, except Springfield. A challenging feat in normal times, but in this time of COVID, the demand for food doubled.
We've had bare shelves. There's been times where we're not sure. We just were saying at the staff meeting, it's loaves and fish. You know, every time we think that there's not going to be enough, another food drive happens, another donation is made, and so we've been able to continue that service uninterrupted.
St. Jude's Closet is located next to the food pantry and offers clothing and small household goods at a low cost. But for the safety of volunteers and community members, it closed for a few months.
The thrift store is now open again 2 days a week, but there's a limit to 10 people in the thrift store. They have to have masks on, so that's controlled.
Moving the administrative offices into Laredo House, Adamczyk says she's more in touch with the community being served by Providence Ministries.
It didn't make sense to be in charge of the programs and be in a completely different location than where the programs were operating. We needed to be there and see what was going on, to see how we can help, how we can assist.
Laredo House, McCleary Manor, and Broderick House are the housing programs of Providence Ministries.
Here at Laredo House, we have really your stage kind of one people coming in from detox. They're coming from different sobriety programs, and from prison. They're coming right from jail. And we give them a soft place to land, an opportunity to get themselves back on their feet. And then Broderick and McCleary are single room occupancy houses. So once you've been here for a year and you haven't had any issues, relapse issues, behavioral issues, you're eligible to move to one of the other 2 houses based on availability.
Residents are encouraged to find work and take part in group sessions to regain their independence. But COVID closed the doors of the residential houses to incoming residents, and brought on tighter restrictions to help keep the buildings COVID-free until November.
We did have a COVID incident here, but we were able to contain it and isolate it, and no other residents got sick off of that isolated incident. So that was also, and we haven't had any active cases since.
Since moving her office into Laredo House, subtle changes have been made. Changes to give the residents a reason to take pride in living there.
I think the general feel of the building has changed. We were able to do some light cosmetic upgrades. Our goal was we wanted to make this feel more like a home.
The changes also include opening the kitchen for the men to prepare their own meals, evening Bible studies, and decorating for Christmas.
I love that I'm so close to everything that's going on here. It's really interesting how when I look back over all of the things that I've done in my life, it's interesting how God has been in control of every step that I've taken and how it's all led me to be here.
Adamczyk says this job is her mission and her heart is with the people whose lives are sustained and transformed through Providence Ministries. For Real to Real, I'm Kathy Harrington.
And Jenny Adamczyk is working with her staff and FoodWorks to get the culinary training program back in operation.